Case we have got a typical exam question again that we are going to work with. Make sure that you understand the questions. A typical exam, you must understand how the questions are given. So let's see. Question number 7, we are given 7.1, given that AB is parallel to CD. That is what we're given, that these two lines, they are parallel from the indication of our parallel lines. That is the only part that you give, only this, that these two, they are parallel. From there, the question was complete the statement and give suitable reasons. There are statements here, some they are completed, some they are not. You need to complete this and give reasons where reasons are not given. So let us consider, already you're given a step. So in this case, you're not supposed to think anything. You're supposed to think along what you're given. So the first one is 7.11, you're given the statement. Angle F2 is equal to angle F5. Why is these two angles are equal? Then we have to consider it from the diagram, F2 and F5, all right? On our diagram, this is the point F, and we've got point F2 here, all right, angle F2, and we have got F5. Remember, we consider F2 and F5. This is where we have got F2, and this is where we have F5. They are saying these two are equal. Why? All right, let's consider this is a straight line. This is also a straight line. What do you refer to these angles? These are vertically opposite angles. Remember that vertically opposite angles are equal, the ones which form an X. So these are simply vertically opposite angles. That's the reason there. Vertically opposite angles. All right, let's move on to 7.12. Angle B1 is equal to which angle we are given that they are alternate angles. So you know that you are given the reason already that they are alternate. So you answer from the reason. What do you refer to as alternate angles? The ones which give us a Z like this, or which give us an N like this. That is alternate angles. So let's consider where B1 is and the alternate angle to B1. This is where our angle B1 is. Since these two lines are parallel, which one is the alternate angle? We must create a Z at B1. All right, that's creating a Z like this. As we can see, we have created a Z. So B1 is alternate to F4. All right, these are alternate inside this one and this one. So we are referring to B1 and angle F4. All right, so B1 is actually equal to angle F4 from the alternate angles concept. All right, let's move on to another part. 7.13. There we are given C. Then we have got B. All right, plus A. All right, there they are considering this C and B, which is this one. All right, and there we are given AC. All right, that is just a mistake there that was given. They wanted to consider this angle A, B, and that one at F. Like, okay. All right, the way that is written here, guys, you might even not understand what is happening here. All right, this was supposed to be BAC, this one, BAC, okay, like angle BA and C, angle B. Let me just correct this one for you. C, let us write it like this, angle C plus angle B, this one, and it was supposed to come back to this point, not this one at A. It was supposed to be BFC. All right, this one was just a total mistake here. All right, BFC. So there, let us just consider it like this, all right? So this will be angles inside of a triangle in this case, which is 180 degrees. Actually, this was a total mistake in this case that you are seeing there. Remember, angles inside of a triangle add up to 180, or it can be from this angle A, angle B, angle F, angles inside a triangle, or you can consider angles on a straight line. So that is, let us correct it and write it this way. So in this case, we simply consider angles in a triangle. But if you're given like this, it means there's no need for you to write anything. It was just this one. Do not even worry, because it was a statement that you were already given. So even if we do not know what exactly was written here, because I remember when we are editing this, guys, it affects. So even if we do not know about this, it does not affect us. It was something that is not even necessary. Our major point is this part. All right. If B2 is equal to F4, then BC is equal to what? All right, let's see on our diagram. If angle B2, all right, angle B2, this one, and angle F4, and this angle F4, this one here. All right, if this B2 and F4, they are equal, the question is that therefore, or then BC is equal to what? This side BC will be equal to what? All right, remember that if these two angles are equal, the sides opposite these angles must be equal. So BC must be equal to FC, from F to C. So BC is supposed to be equal to FC. All right. Then if you're given something like this, it means there you were supposed to actually have a reason in that case. So what is going to be the reason? We are going to consider the angles in that case. All right. There we consider the sides. So these are sides that are opposite equal angles. So you can consider from the sides. All right. You can consider from what? From the sides in that case. So we can refer to this one as sides opposite equal angles. All right. That is like that. We can say these two are equal. So that is the major part. So in this case here, do not consider this part like much, because in this case, it was something that was mistaken, like in terms of the preparations, guys, you know, these letters can just shift here and there. So, but the major part, that is all this part that you are given. So that is what you are supposed to have in that case, for you to have the 5 marks. That is the 1, 2, then 3, 4. So here, do not consider that, because, okay, just going to talk about that. I'm going to recheck and see if we have got something that is actually clear to see what was the question there. All right, 7.2, study the following diagram and then answer the questions that follow. We are given a diagram to study where we are given that BC is parallel to DE. These two lines, they are parallel. So from being parallel, we can see that angle C2 will be equal to angle D2, since refer to the alternate angles. A lot of things that you can use of parallel lines. So that's why they said study the diagram. You have to study it and see what is happening. Angle D1 is equal to angle D2. That is, angle D1 and angle D2, they're equal. You are given that. Meaning to say, line DC bisects angle D. To bisect, remember, is to divide into 2 equal parts, because you're given that these two are equal. All right. So it bisects this one. This line, it bisects angle D. To bisect, to divide into 2 equal parts. And we have got the angle of 60 there, the angle of 70 at that point. That is what you're given. You have to study what you're given there. All right. Then the questions is determine the size of the following angles with the reasons. The angles which follows. All right. 7.21, angle D2. And we need the reason for that. Angle D2, this angle. That is at this point, this one, D2. All right. Remember that we are given that these two angles, they are equal. D1 and D2, they are equal. So since these two are equal, we can actually use the angles inside of a triangle. Angle A, angle E, And angle D was supposed to give us 180 degrees angles inside of a triangle. These are the interior angles. All right. So I want you to see what I'm trying to say. Let us form it a statement. So we're going to have the 60 degrees at A. So let me take it this way. So we have got the 60 degrees at A plus D1 and D2. Remember, if D1 is equal to D2, we can just write this as a D2 plus D2. It was supposed to be D1 plus D2. Here, it was supposed to be D1 plus D2. But remember, we said D1 and D2, they are equal. So in place of D1, we can write it as D2. All right, since we want to calculate angle D2, guys, so you just have to write in terms of what? D2. Than to write D1 and D2 because you'll be like having two unknown values. Or what you can just do is to write this as X and as X, meaning to say it will be X plus X. It's up to you, okay? It's up to you to understand the way that you understand. So if we take this, add to 70 degrees, this whole part is supposed to give us 180 degrees angles inside of a triangle. So there we are talking about what? The interior angles of a triangle. That is the sum of interior angles of a triangle. It must give us 180 degrees. We have formed an equation so that we need to solve this equation. So D2 and D2, if you add, that is simply like 1 plus 1. So that will be 2. D2, which is equal to, take the 60 this side, the 70 that side, subtract from 180. So it will be 180. You subtract the 60 degrees. It was a positive. You also subtract from 180, you subtract the 70 degrees. So that is the difference that you're going to obtain is going to be equated to 2D2, which is 50 degrees. So simply divide by 2 by 2, it's like this. 2D2 is equal to 50. So you can simply divide both sides by what? By 2. That means angle D2 will be equal to 25 degrees if you divide by 2. So there are so many ways that you can actually obtain the same angle depending with the idea that you are working with, like the geometrical reason behind. Is there a geometrical reason behind? You can have that. All right. In this case, we need to consider another question. It was to calculate angle 7.32, angle C1, C2, C3. All right. Angle C1. All right. Let's see any of these. Remember this X we calculated, which is D2 and D1. Remember these two, we said they are equal. So this will be 25 degrees. This will be 25 degrees. So of these angles, we can calculate, in this case, angle C2 is direct since we are forming a Z from our parallel lines. Remember, when you form a Z, these are alternate angles. So meaning to say angle C2 is equal to D2, which is 25 degrees. All right, so there, let's start with angle C2 is equal to angle D2, which is 25 degrees. From which reason we consider alternate angles where we form a Z that is alternate angles. I'm just gonna write in short alternate angles. All right, what about, okay, let's see angle C1. All right, C1 is also direct here. Okay, we got this one, which is 25. C1 is also direct from our parallel lines. We have got corresponding angles. We are forming an F like this. Look, that it's an F that we are having here from this point to E like this. You are forming an F, meaning to say C1 and E are equal, corresponding angles. When you form an F, these two angles are equal. So angle C1 is equal to angle E, which is 70 degrees. All right, so C1 is equal to angle E, which is equal to 70 degrees. So these are corresponding angles. I'm just going to write in short like this, corresponding angles. So meaning to say there is a 70 degrees at what? At angle C. All right, let's see another question. We need we need another angle there, which is C3. There's still C3. Angle C3 is here, so you can consider angles on a straight line. Since we have got the other angles, the 70 and the 25, we can remove this from 180 degrees. So we can calculate angle C3. So angle C3 was simply going to be 180 degrees. We subtract the other angles that are on a straight line with angle C3, which is angle C1 and angle C2, 70 and what? And 25. So we are going to subtract 70 degrees and 25 degrees. All right. So that is, we are referring to the angles that are on a straight line. That is the condition. And that was going to give us 85 degrees. So then we are simply talking of what? Angles on a straight line. Angles on a straight line. That is, we've got all the angles there. We have got all the angles. Let's see, another part is 7.33. Angle B1 and B2. Okay, how can we find angle B1 and that other angle B2? All right, angle B1, we can simply consider angles inside of a triangle. Since we have got the 60 and the 70 degrees, we are going to subtract these two from 180 degrees. So there we can simply obtain angle B1. From 180 degrees, we subtract the 60 and the 70 degrees because angles inside of a triangle. All right, so that is 60 degrees and the 70 degrees. That was another way, which was going to give us 50 degrees. All right, that is going to be 50 degrees. In that case, we have got the difference between these two. Of which we could do, okay, let's write the reason. There we consider angles in a triangle. What about this way? This B1 that we are seeing here, if you are to consider these two lines are parallel, so we can consider like this, corresponding angles like this. So B1 and the wall of angle D are corresponding angles. We are forming an F. So these are corresponding angles, all right? So meaning to say B1 can be referred to the whole of angle D. That's another way that you could have answered this one. Okay, angle B1 is equal to the whole of angle D, which is 25 plus 25, which is what? 50 degrees. We simply consider the 25 and 25 degrees together. In this case, you have to consider this as what? Corresponding angles. So that's another way that you could have just used to calculate angle B1. Let's move on to angle B2. All right, knowing that B1 is 50 degrees, we can simply calculate angle B2, that is angles on a straight line, add up to 180 degrees. So in order for us to obtain angle B2, you are simply going to subtract the 50 degrees that you have from 180 degrees, since angles on a straight line add up to 180 degrees. So that's angle B2 will be 180 degrees. So this one, we have to consider angles on a straight line. Angles on a straight line. So that is how you can answer these questions. So as you can see, that's a typical exam question, meaning to say they can ask you such type of a question where you need to understand the statement that you're going to use to calculate or to determine whatever that you are given, and also to know the reason. So know the properties of your parallel lines, the properties of a straight line, the properties of the shapes, considering a triangle, considering any shape. that is, they are going to ask anything along anything among this part, the straight lines, the shapes. So you need to know the basics of each. So let's revise as much as we can.